This video is going to show you how to get from $0 at 25 to millions later in life and passive income. So keep watching. It's one of those mornings where a lot open faster. You guys all do it. Always be on time. What's up, everybody? It is Kevin. We are coming back to you with something different this time. Today, we're going to talk about how you can actually make passive income, or how to get started in your future of making passive income, because quite frankly, nobody talks about it. Everybody talks about 4,000 units, 4,000 and business and this. Let's talk about normal stuff. And if you're gonna click out after 20 seconds, it's probably been about 30 now, so you're already behind. See you later. By the way, these are my KC dice stat boxes, but let's talk about the topic at hand. But of course, only after looking at the work Lauren did here. Look at this. This is amazing. I just found this house that's been red tagged. I'm not quite sure why. So this house behind me was a flip that was ready to go on the market. It was fully staged, ready to go. The signpost is right there. This was days from going on the market, and then the fire came in. So as we explore this, let's talk a little bit about passive income. So here's the scoop, all right? Let's make this very, very simple, because again, I love Grant Cardone, but I think a lot of the information out there is very intimidating and kind of encourages you not to get your feet wet, encourages you not to get into real estate. So here's the point. If you're only gonna listen to anything, listen to this part. If you want passive income, you need to start investing. And you can't treat investing like a business.
This is a business.
Because businesses take money to start. If you have $300,000 or $80,000.
Right now, I have about $80K set aside.
Or $1 million sitting around, great. Start a business, get that cash on cash return. Cash flow is great. Businesses are great. I own 2 companies, but this video is for the people who don't have a lot of money out of the gate. This video is targeted at people who have less than $30,000 and they're looking to figure out, how can I have passive income? Everybody on YouTube talks about passive income. Everybody talks about how great they are doing, how successful they are, but I need something that speaks to me. So here's how you do it. Step 1. You buy either a townhouse or a house for you to live in with a first-time home buyer or homeowner occupied loan. We've made a few other videos about this in terms of what you need for a down payment, how you really only need 3.5%, 3%, 5% down. Let's do some numbers here. Let's reiterate this, and then we're gonna use that example again to determine, okay, how do we catapult this into passive income? Because you can't start with passive income from nothing.
Cool, so now it's on its flight path.
Look at that.
And every little dot,
Sun glare.
every little dot is a picture.
So you've fully mapped what you're going to do, and the drone is automatically taking the pictures when it gets to those spots.
Correct.
As long as we don't have any trees or power lines, we're good. Justin here, WM Surveys. So you might be wondering, I'm a real estate broker, why am I here flying a drone with land surveyors? Well, I also have an FAA airman license to fly a drone, so I am the pilot in command. Getting started investing in real estate is not a business, and it should never be construed as a business, because that is exactly what prevents the vast majority of people from getting started. Great, if you're an accredited investor,
The only way you could invest with me is you'd have to be an accredited investor.
then you probably already are involved in multiple businesses, and it doesn't matter to you to be involved in another one. But for the vast majority of people, that's not true. All right, so let's hit the numbers, all right? Say you're 25 right now. You go to buy a place, that's $250,000. That's $12,500 down with 5%. $5,000 for closing costs, moving costs, so on. Set that aside. So $17,500 at 25. That sounds like a lot of money, but you could save it if you haven't already. That's pretty realistic, and it's way more attainable than $80,000 or $150,000 like a lot of people talk about. Now let's talk payment, okay? This $250,000 property with 4% as an interest rate, 5% down. Monthly principal and interest and mortgage insurance payment of about $1,300. Add into that about $250 about for property taxes, $50 for insurance, and let's go $350 for association dues. Let's say this is a condo or a townhouse, so maybe you even got water and trash included for that. Not a bad deal. This is not intended to say this is an investment property. What's the cash flow on this property I just bought, Kevin? No. This is, you're gonna live there, okay? This is assuming you're renting a place right now and you need a place to live. You got a little bit of money saved up. This is what you're going to move into. Your payment's $1,950. Maybe you rent out a room for $600 and your payment's like $1,350. But having your own roof and a roof that you control is your personal first step. Now, let's say the rent that you could get for the property is $1,900. I purposely did this because it purposely sets the scenario up as a negative cash flow. Watch the reason for this. You have to stop being afraid of real estate. It's my wife, Lauren.
I think you should start young and not be scared. I actually have a friend who has a great job and she would opt for renting rather than owning just because it's a little intimidating, and I don't think it should be. I think it should be something that people strive to do.
So I'm going to be the first person that's going to say a negative isn't always bad. Here's why. So let's take that house and say worst case you had to rent it out. Your payment is $1,950, the rent is $1,900, you only put 5% down on the house, so you just leveraged 95%. So you're gonna rent it out for $1,900. Now let's say you have a property manager that's going to cost you $150 a month, and because it's a townhouse, your repairs aren't going to be that much. Let's call repairs and vacancy $150. So you have this $300 a month additional cost, takes your total obligation to $2,200 a month. Now that sounds like a $300 a month negative, if you did the math with me, or if you read it on screen. And guess what? It is, negative! But your principal paydown is $360 a month. So let's analyze this, okay? Yeah, so you've got this negative. But if the market is flat, you're okay. Is the market gonna go up forever? No. But will it average out up? Probably in the long run? Yeah. Oh, wait. Hold on a second. But you're still paying that negative every single year, right? Yes. But let's do the numbers on that. And remember, this is a worst case scenario because this isn't supposed to be a rental property for you, that first one. So let's do the numbers. That negative costs you $3,600 per year. That's $300. That negative, though, is a tax write-off. So it's really probably only costing you somewhere around $2,000 to $2,400. Obviously, talk to a CPA to figure out what your numbers are. But that might be more realistic because a rental property is a tax loss if you lose money and you get to write that off. Your principal paydown, which is the increase to your net worth, and until you sell, you don't pay taxes on this appreciation. In fact, you may never pay taxes on it because there are strategies not to, like 1031 exchanges, topic for another video. Your principal paydown every single year is $4,320. So if the market is flat, you lose $3,600 a year because you had to rent it out and you had to move, even though you intended to live there with a roommate and it was going to be affordable. Now, net worth, it's costing you about $2,400 as a negative tax affected, but you're gaining $4,300 in wealth every single year with a property that appears to be losing money on paper. So it's really not that bad, okay? All right, now let's do a little bit more. That's a worst case scenario, and I give worst case scenarios because people always come up with worst case scenarios in the comments, or just in reality, and it's valid because when I go into a deal, I want to know what's the worst case scenario. It just makes sense. It's good to be prepared for the worst case because then that makes any kind of best case even better. The most important part of step number 1, buying your own place, is you need to throw having an exit strategy out of the window. You do not need an exit strategy.
How are you going to exit this deal?
But for the purpose of anybody who wants that passive income in the steps to come here, don't sell. You don't need an exit strategy. Your strategy is hold it forever. And don't let anybody tell you that, oh, well, you're paying all that interest to the bank. It's nominal. The interest payment is like that, and it's a tax deduction compared to the rental income that's coming in, that's paying for your mortgage for you, or most of it, if not all of it. And now you're gonna own the property in 30 years. Nonsense. Don't think about that. Hey, look, Milgard. Everybody loves Milgard windows, but they have kind of a mixed reputation. Okay, remember, for all those Grant Cardone fans out there, I like Grant too. He's a good guy, he makes good videos, alright, he's got good insights. But this is different. This is for the normal folks, not the accredited investors. Now I'm gonna get out of the street. it wasn't that high. There are only 2 steps. Step 1 is you gotta get into your first one. Step 2 is you gotta keep it and keep buying. So watch this. At 25, you're gonna buy a place for $250,000. You live in it at first, then in 7 years, or before, if you can make it happen before, great, but this is just a path, and you can see how easy it is. Watch this, okay? 7 whole years later, buy another place. So at 32, you're gonna buy a place for $350,000. At 39, you'll buy a place for $450,000. At 46, you'll buy a place for $550,000. At 53, you'll buy a place for $650,000. At 60, $750,000. And at 67, $850,000. All right, you ready? Now get this. And yeah, this thing's self-driving. I don't understand the world we live in. Anyway, now you've owned real estate for 42 years and you're 67. Get this, that sounds like a crazy long time, but I just gave a very, very simple course as far as how to buy and how to make this happen, all right? You buy at 25, and when you're done at 67, you've kept everything the whole way, you now have over $3.8 million in real estate if the market stayed flat. You've owned for 42 years, which means property number 1 is paid off, property number 2 is paid off, property number 3 is 2 years away from being paid off. It's crazy. Now you've got cash flow, and you did it by buying houses for 5% or 10% down with homebuyer loans, no crazy $80,000, $150,000 investments. But right now, what's more important is for you to get convinced that you have to do step number 1. The longer you wait to do step number 1, the longer it'll take to get passive income. Look, I'm not saying that getting into real estate is the right option for everybody. No. Don't get me wrong. You need to be able to afford the payment. If you go in with 5 or 10% down, you better be able to afford that payment. Quite frankly, if you can qualify for the loan, you can afford the payment, because loan guidelines are so strict these days that they're gonna make pretty darn well sure you can afford the payment. So the reason I kind of get a little excited about that is I get upset when I hear nobody should buy unless it's a cash flowing deal. Look, cash flowing deals were totally possible in regular houses at like the bottom of the market, but the fact of the matter is we're not at the bottom of the market. So you can continue to sit on the sidelines watching the real estate market do its thing and join everybody else who's saying, well, I'll just wait until the market crashes again. Or do what my father-in-law says and just do it. Don't wait to buy real estate and then wait. And if you look at this example I gave, which is why I think it's so important, 0% appreciation, $3.8 million, and you're buying places with 5 to 10% down on every property? This is a no-brainer. Let's add in some appreciation. Let's do a little bit of math. Let's see what would happen if we compound this out. I'll get back to you because I'm not doing it while driving. Although I am in traffic, this is kind of boring. So I pulled over at my next stop and I quickly whipped this up together. So I'm going to show you this. This is the MacBook Air Station in the Tesla. Let's check it out, all right? All this is a chart, and it says you invest $250,000 at year 1, $350,000, $450,000, $550,000, $650,000, $750,000, $850,000, sum total. This represents the purchase price times 5% down plus $5,000 for closing costs. Up here, watch this, $250,000. This is the future value calculation. It's at a 0% rate right now. So remember how I did this assumption with everything flat. This is the money you actually put in. This is what it's worth with a flat market. Watch this, okay? We're gonna do something fun. All we're gonna go in here and do is we're gonna change the interest rate to 1%, 0.01. All right, 1% appreciation is now worth $4.5 million, and you put in $227,000 over the time. Obviously, whichever one you were renting in, you had to pay for, but you are buying the roof over your head. So we're not doing like cash flow numbers on this because presumably you're in this $850,000 house now. But this shows you there's another $700,000 in net worth because you get all of the appreciation. The bank does not. So that appreciation is your net worth. Now let's use the historical average of 3%. $6.6 million with 3% growth. What? Like, what? Don't let anybody tell you that getting into real estate with a first-time home buyer loan is a bad idea, or not even a first-time home buyer loan, just a home buyer loan, right? Because then you could get in with 5% down. That's the trick here, is you're using other people's money to make all that money. And remember, that first property is now worth $839,000 with 3% appreciation, that $250K place, paid for. That $350,000 place, paid for. $984,000. That $450,000 place, 2 years from being paid off, $1,029,000. What? Like, this is simple. Just go with flat if you don't believe me. Problem. Please don't get me wrong, I don't want to bash Grant. Grant is great. He's got some great opinions, great investment philosophies. This is just targeting, in my opinion, normal folks, people that I work with all the time, and I really feel compelled to share this insight. But the numbers, they are what they are. You gotta get in. See, here's an example of one that's for sale. Anyway, I'm gonna put a link in the description to the spreadsheet. Again, the number one thing is put away the misconceptions. Stop being afraid of paying interest to a bank. Stop being afraid of the apartments.com commercials that say you're going to be tied down by a 30-year mortgage. Are you kidding me? Don't be afraid of good debt. This is leverage. This isn't like credit card debt where you're paying 23%. Remember, all we're doing is we're replacing the fact that you're going to be renting a place with the fact that you're going to own a place. And if that costs you a few $100s more per month, or worst case, you had to bail like in that first example we gave and you have a little bit of a negative, okay, calculate that worst case scenario in. It's not like it's a vacant plot of land that, your tenant's gonna move out. Oh wait, you can't rent those out. And get into real estate. Check this out. Great design. Really like the staging over here. They really opened it up by just having this. Great. Oh. Who's that, Jack?
It's Grandma.
By the way, I realized I probably need to expand on this a little bit. And look, I can wear a t-shirt too. The passive income portion. Let me just draw that parallel. When you own these properties, and if you follow that course, passive income comes naturally. Because remember, that first property is paid off. Second property is paid off. Passive income. That third property is almost paid off. Will be passive income. And rents go up in time. But whatever mortgage you set in, as long as you don't constantly refinance, your mortgage stays flat. So your mortgage does this, your rent does this. There you go. You pocket the difference. That's cash flow. That's simple.